The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
When the whole family comes together to watch the game, nobody wants to miss a second of the action to run to the grocery store. With Instacart, you can get all your weekly groceries in as fast as an hour. Less time shopping means more game time. Let's go. Visit instacart.com to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. $10 minimum per order. Additional terms apply.
Welcome to the Powercat Podcast, GoPowercat.com's Kansas State Athletics Show. Now, here's your host, GoPowercat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to this edition of the Powercat Postgame Podcast. Kansas State absolutely rolls the Baylor Bears as anticipated, and I mean that. I thought this would be a blowout. I thought this was a mismatch for Baylor at home with Kansas State. This K-State team loves playing at home. They've been dominant, 59-25. Cole Carmody here with me, Tim Fitzgerald, as we wrap that up and move you on to the Sunflower Showdown, a.k.a. the Abolition Bowl.
I like that.
I'm going with that.
I think that's good.
We should celebrate our history of the state. This state is so much more than the Wizard of Oz and sunflowers. Oh, boy. Baylor sucks. That's it for the podcast. Cole, if I'm a Baylor fan, I am beyond upset by the product I'm seeing on the field. I just want to start there because I want to look, K-State played well, but if you start breaking down the stats and looking at them, that is not a 59-25 game. They got 2 defensive scores. They got essentially a special team score on them, but it was more Baylor. They bad snap. But K-State was coming, and they got Matthew Mashmeyer got the recovery and scored next play, I think, 2 yards out. So they basically got 3 free touchdowns. Dude, it's still 38-25, even if you take those away.
Yeah.
And Baylor threw everything they could, every little piece of trickery to make something happen. Dave Aranda, that team has gone from Big 12 championship 2 years ago to trash.
I wasn't on the boat train of fire Dave Aranda, but I mean, after watching that game, it's like there were so many little things that they did wrong. They dropped a lot of passes.
Yep.
There were some pre-snap penalties. The offensive line is horrible. I mean, horrible. I feel bad for Blake Shapen.
He's good, man.
Because he's a good quarterback. If I'm Blake Shapen, I'm getting the hell out of there because he can go somewhere and help a team win. And it's unfortunate because I really like him. I think, honestly, I like Baylor. Everything that they've done with that football program, they have built themselves back up. At least we thought they did. Mm-hmm. And now they are getting torn down again. And it's amazing that this is happening 2 years after a Big 12 championship. But it's a lesson to be learned, right? Like, we thought Oklahoma State was dead in the water last year. Last year going into this year, which,
right.
They might be dead in the water again after what just happened to them in Orlando. But K-State fans, realize what you have because – your team is in a lot better shape than a lot of other teams in this conference, and that is definitely true when it comes to the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, it was not a good performance for Baylor, but it was a good performance for Kansas State. And let's just get there right now. Will Howard now owns the career touchdown mark, passing Josh Freeman with 3 touchdown passes. You need 2 to tie and 3 to get there. Closing in on the single season record you noted during the course of the game. That's held by L. Roberson. Mm-hmm. But Will Howard, it's been an amazing journey of frustrations and persistence for this young man. And he said it after the game. I can't imagine myself, the kid that came in and played as a true freshman, threw 3 interceptions against West Virginia and was so bad, to get through all of that and be here holding that record is unbelievable.
It is. And, you look at his season stats, and he looks like the quarterback that everybody thought he was going to be coming into the season.
Right.
He hasn't thrown an interception. Take out the Texas interception. He hasn't thrown an interception in weeks, and he's looked really good. I think that Texas Tech game really lit a fire under him because if you go and you look at his stats ever since that moment in time, he has been tremendous. He's played like the best quarterback in the Big 12, and this was the guy that everybody thought they would see. And honestly, Fitz, he had a rough game against Oklahoma State, but all the numbers before and after that are really good. I think people got caught up in Avery being special against Texas Tech, and because he is special.
Right.
He is special. He's a special talent, and they still need to find ways to use him. But people got caught up in the fact that Avery had a great game, and they decided to leave Will out for dead. And he's the kind of kid who, when his back is put up against a wall, he's going to fight. And he's either going to go down swinging or he's going to claw his way out, and he's clawing his way out, and he's just carved out an incredible career for K-State.
Will Howard, 19 of 29, 0 interceptions, as Cole said, 235 through the air, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked once. Blake Shapen was 22 of 45 with a pick, and it was a pick 6. 4 touchdown passes, which is kind of amazing, but he was sacked 3 times as K-State came after him quite a bit. Cody Stufflebean with an incredible sack, fumble forced, hit him from the blind side, ball came out, and Des Purnell picks it up for a touchdown. Later in the game, Keenan Garber has that pick 6. Cole, 3 Kansas kids right there.
I love my Kansas kids.
Yep.
Cody Stufflebean came to K-State as a tight end. Keenan Garber came to K-State as a wide receiver. Both of them had touchdown impacting plays on the defensive side of the football.
Yep. Des Purnell is a safety who's now playing linebacker because, according to his defensive coordinator, his ass was too big for the safety room. I still love that quote.
Yeah. That just goes to show, right? What we do is we cover recruiting, and you look at kids and you try and project kids, and that's how coaches get kids to K-State. Right. They project them. But whenever kids get into a program, man, there's just something that happens. And credit Cody Stufflebean, because that is a guy last year who, let's just be honest, at times was not good.
No.
And he has turned it around. He's become explosive. I saw him in post. I was shocked at how big he is. And some of those images of him, he is cut up. He has completely turned around his game. And with some guys on his heels, he's been able to carve out a really nice role. And, this is probably the best game he'll ever have in his career.
Oh, it was impressive. He's got more career ahead of him. He could continue to get better. They've got some great young DNs in the pipeline. This could be really significant for K-State to have him step forward this way. This was just a team victory, and I've been hard on the special teams, and they deserve it. I mean, setting aside the punter, Jack Bloomer had another really solid performance. They had one decent kickoff return. It finally looked like they were going to get something out, and Trayshawn Ward got snagged at the end, but still got it out to midfield. Other than that, special teams was awful again. I mean, they hit their extra points. They hit a field goal. Okay, all that's fine, but they're giving up too much yardage in the return game.
Yeah.
And they got fooled on an onside kick. They got fooled on a fake field goal that was obviously a fake to everyone, apparently, except the players on the field. It was only executed poorly, saving K-State from an embarrassing touchdown. I'm beyond frustrated with the special teams. This shouldn't be happening at Kansas State University. It just shouldn't. It's like being in the Big Ten and not knowing how to run the football. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I don't understand it, to be completely honest. And, we've sat here for weeks and said something is going to happen when the special teams. And did it bite them against Texas? If you want to say the missed field goal, I'll listen to that and the missed snap. And that's what people see. That's what most fans see with special teams. But you're right, Fitz. It's so much deeper than that, right? Like Jack Bloomer, we're not in the huddle. We don't know what the play is, but he's able to boot that ball. But I do wonder sometimes, hey, if it's a punt right and you punt it left or you punt it down the middle of the field,
right,
that impacts coverage.
Right.
And so we don't know what's going on, but sometimes I feel like, there can be some blame placed back because it was such a good punt. Hey, great job for booting it, but we want you to kick it down to the right or we want you to kick it to the left. I think that probably attributes it a little bit, but just the coverage you'd like to see get better.
Yep. Very frustrating. But overall, Kansas State was outstanding. Cole, what is it about this K-State team inside that stadium? Look, I know TCU, Houston, and Baylor are all towards the bottom of this conference, but they have knocked the ever-living crap out of all three of those teams, emphatically winning the game and in a conference where the games are typically close. It's been really awesome to see what they're doing at home.
You know that they've scored more than 40 points in every single home game?
That's incredible.
I want, if that happens against Iowa State, I highly doubt that's ever happened in a season at K-State where a team scores more than 40 points in every single home game. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but surely that hasn't happened.
I don't know. I don't know, but they are on course to go unbeaten if they can come home and defend the home field that Saturday after Thanksgiving when Iowa State wanders into town for Farmageddon. Now, that's the name of a series, not the Sunflower Showdown.
When was the last time K-State went undefeated at home? Do you know that off the top of your
I don't.
head?
I was just wondering that. I'm going to text my pal Ryan Lackey and ask him to do that research because it's all in that book called A Media Guide that's behind me.
Yeah.
And it's very heavy. Yeah. And I'm old.
Reading.
And I just don't feel like I should be asked to lift things at my fragile state. But yeah, it was a very impressive game. The guy I loved the most in this game, and there were a lot, was DJ Giddens. That dude is like a bull.
Yeah.
I mean, he just goes through people. He has so much yard after contact. It's unbelievable. He's hard to bring down. But on top of that, he just kind of sifts through defenses and sees his spots. So many running backs put their head down and say, I'm going over here. And he just kind of picks his way and steers through like a crowded parking lot out there. It's really fun to watch him operate, and he goes over 100 yards again. And that just sets a tone. That sets a tone from the point of attack with the offensive line getting it done, although I didn't think they were overly dominant. I thought he was just really good. But once you establish that run game, it just opens everything up, and Baylor couldn't stop the offense.
DJ Giddens is averaging 6 yards a rush.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like that's elite numbers. He's got 744 yards. I'm looking at the statistics right now. I believe that's up to date according to the good old ESPN.com website. He's going to finish with 1,000 yards. I believe that. You throw in a bowl game and then obviously 2 more regular season games. He's got a good chance to finish at 1,000 yards. An impressive season when we all thought that it would be 50-50, and maybe Trayshawn Ward would even be that guy who would be the main running back. But you look down, and there's Trayshawn Ward, 5 yards a carry. I mean, this is a running back room that we are not giving enough credit to because they lost Deuce Vaughn. That is true. But they've been better at that position than they were with him last year. And that is not a knock on Deuce because we know how special Deuce was. But from a pure production standpoint, the running backs have maybe been the best position group on this offense.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Leading receiver in this game is Phillip Brooks. 5 targets, 5 catches. I think he was 6 of 6 last week on targets and catches. 41 yards, no touchdowns, but Phil Brooks has turned into the go-to guy. He's both an explosive playmaker and the guy that Will Howard looks to when he needs if it's not Ben Sinnott, it's Phillip Brooks. Phillip was a guy known for drops. He would always have how did you drop that kind of play in every game, and now he's become so reliable. That his touchdown last week against Texas was big time.
Yep.
And he was reliable again. Ben Sinnott, 3 catches. They threw the ball, I can't even tell here, 5. About 12 different players were targeted in this game. It looks like about 9 of them actually had catches, including, I love this, the first career touchdown for Christian Moore. And it got overshadowed because it was also Will Howard's record-setting touchdown. But Will said they will have shared custody of the ball. And I thought that was nice. That's good parenting right there.
Yes. I love the game plan through the air.
Yeah.
And, we've been critical of the receivers fairly at times, but they've really settled into those 3 guys in Jace Brown, Keegan Johnson, and Phil Brooks. And quite honestly, Fitz, I was impressed with Keegan Johnson tonight. 7 targets, only had 3 catches for 31 yards. But again, I look at the targets more than I necessarily look at the actual catches. A lot of those targets are not necessarily indicative of Keegan Johnson not getting open, as it is, oh crap, the play's breaking down. Will knows he's going to try and throw to Keegan because Keegan has a chance to get open. I think, yes, Phillip Brooks is the most consistent receiver on this team. But if you were to ask me, of those 3 guys, who do I think has a chance to make the biggest play? I'm still going number 10. I know we haven't seen it, throughout the whole year. He's been super inconsistent, but he just has a different level to him that I think we haven't really seen. We saw a glimpse of it at Texas, but I saw him run a little comeback route tonight, and it just completely broke off the defender. He was not even close. The Keegan Johnson's special, and you throw in Jace Brown. Those 2 guys are going to have a chance to do some really special things for K-State the next 2 years.
Indeed, they will. Kansas State absolutely rolls through this game, 59-25 over the Baylor Bears. It's Kansas State. I got to find the records now. I'm not good at this.
7-3.
Thank you. 7-3, 5-2 in the conference. Baylor falls to 3-7 and 2-5. Their 2 wins are Cincinnati and UCF, and UCF was one of the worst teams in the conference until today. My goodness. They're better as the Citronauts. They wore their blues.
That's right.
They use their old logo, the Citronauts, their old mark, mascot. I love it. I wish that's such a cool logo, and they can merge the blue and the black, and it'd be a badass look. I think they should change, but I'm not a UCF person, so I don't get a vote.
We're recording this podcast during the Texas and TCU game. I think Texas has been in the red zone, it seems like, almost every single play, and they've only scored 1 touchdown in 4 trips. It's just amazing. Isn't that crazy? Well, how do they not score touchdowns?
I know. How they predicate their offense on spreading the field and then don't have a layer of it for the red zone where you can't spread the field is beyond me. You would think being an offensive genius, Sark could figure that out. This conference is utter chaos.
Yeah, it is. It's insane, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more in the second half. But I just love what the Big 12 is right now, Fitz. I mean, it is so fun. And take Oklahoma and Texas out of it, and I don't think this conference is going to get worse. We're at a point right now. Brett Yormark was in the house tonight for the K-State Baylor game.
I missed him. I wanted to talk to him. I think he wanted my autograph.
I'm confused why he was here. I don't necessarily know.
I don't know.
I mean, it's obvious he wanted to see Will Howard break the record.
That's
right?
it.
That's definitely it. But you add in a Utah team who played Washington down to the final possession today. This conference is in such a good shape, and Arizona even coming on strong as of late. So I'm excited for the future of this conference. But this K-State team, they've positioned themselves not just for the future, but for this year to maybe still be in that Big 12 title race. And we're going to have to follow it all week, obviously. But today was just an amazing win for them. And, it really cemented, I think, that they are that third best team in this conference.
Well, K-State did have 3 sacks. by this is awesome, Colby McAllister with a sack.
He played well tonight.
And Cody Stufflebean with 2. You would have won a lot of money in Vegas if you bet that as a threesome. I don't think they'd offer that.
No.
Des Purnell, leading tackler, with only 5. There was a slew of guys with 4. And, of course, he had the scoop and score. I don't know, man. This was a good performance.
Can I bring something negative up?
Absolutely.
I want to talk about Khalid Duke for a second.
Yeah.
I don't understand today's generation, and I was talking with our own Ryan Wallace about this, but we were at the Blue Valley High School and with the North game, and it's amazing the amount of smack talking that goes on the field.
It's horrible.
And I'm to the point now where it doesn't matter what the score is. It is I am better than you, even if my team is down 35-13 like they were at that point. And I'm sure the conversation after the game was, hey, man, what are you thinking? We are killing them. You not only completely flipped the momentum, but you got yourself ejected from the game. Now, I don't think he's going to have any kind of suspension. No. But still, that's something as a veteran player and as a leader on that defense, that is just inexcusable. And obviously, I'm sure that's going to be taken care of. But again, I was really, really disappointed to see that happen.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he got baited into that and took the bait. I mean, the guy was hanging on to him. He's trying to get free. Finally kind of pushed back a little bit. The guy took a swing at him. Dude, you won. Mm-hmm. You just got him ejected. Why did you continue and then take your own swing? I thought yeah, I'm with you. Look, a little trash talking is kind of fun. But now it's just nonstop on every play. Someone's chirping and talking crap, whether they got burned, whether they're getting their butts kicked in the game. It's just nonstop. Can you shut up and play? That's an old man talking, but
no, it is.
Look, there's always been some trash talk, but you're right. It has gotten to a level now where it's ridiculous.
Well, I think
focus on the damn game, man.
From an offensive lineman's perspective, from his perspective, he's pissed, right? He's getting his butt kicked by Duke. So why would you retaliate and put yourself in a position?
Just laugh at it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You just tried to punch me. I have a helmet on. You're wearing protecting gloves where you can hit me all you want. It's not going to hurt. Oh, and guess what? You get to go take a shower because you're ejected.
Right. Just laugh at him. Wow, I went full old man.
That's okay.
And by the way, if you're in my neighborhood, stay off my damn lawn.
And then you throw to boot on that Jay Clifton gets hurt on the very next play. That was the worst 2 plays of the night for K-State because it had really nothing to do with the outcome of the game. But that Clifton injury, I don't think it's as bad maybe as it initially appeared, because talking to some of the players after the game, they said that he was in good spirits. He did walk off under his own power into the locker room, so that's something to keep in mind. But
which is something I'm not capable of doing. I know. I mean, let's be honest here. Kansas State wins big. Moving on to a trip to Lawrence, final road game of the season, as the Wildcats looked really good and Will Howard stole the show. This is the Powercat Postgame Podcast. Fitz and Coles right here in the GPC Cats and Dogs studio. We'll be back after this break.
GoPowercat.com's Powercat Podcast continues after this short break.
Getting the crew together isn't as easy as it used to be. We get it. Life comes at you fast. But trust us, your pals are desperate for a good hang. And when they hear you stock the party with drinks from Drizzly, they'll be banging down your door. Let Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery, take care of the supplies. All you need is an excuse. It doesn't even have to be a good one. It's your dog's birthday. The loquats are finally ripe. Whatever. With Drizzly, you can compare prices on a massive selection of beer, wine, and spirits and get them delivered straight to your door. Which means you can entice the crew to leave their houses without ever leaving yours. Whatever the occasion, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast.
Welcome back to the Powercat Postgame Podcast. Fitz and Cole right here in the studio, wrapping up Kansas State's impressive 59-25 victory over the Baylor Bears. Bears stinky, Wildcats good. That's pretty much the summary of the game, as Baylor is bad. Bad. do you think this was the most boring of the games, of the recent home games? I mean, we're talking 41-3 against TCU, 41-0 against Houston. Those were actually bigger blowouts. But this game was just weird. It went on forever. It just took way too long.
TCU was surprising. I don't think anybody thought that game was going to be as much of a blowout as it was. And it was entertaining because Will was in, Avery was in. Will was in, Avery was in. Houston, it was one of those games where you could just tell Dana Holgorsen knew they were going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
And then with Baylor, it was like, it was hard to watch because you're like, oh my gosh, like they're just bad. Like, sorry for all of the Kansas City high school football people out there, but I made a comment at one point that it was like watching Bishop Miege play Bonner Springs. Like that's what it looked like, right? The absolute mismatch. Again, sorry to all my Bonner Springs people out there. I love you.
Oh, boy. Just threw them under the bus.
I know, but that's what it looked like. And it was Baylor's just bad. Like their offensive line, Fitz. They
were horrible.
It doesn't make any sense. Like how do you not have any offensive line depth? K-State's second-string offensive line was better than Baylor's first-string offensive line, and it wouldn't have even been close.
Baylor ran the ball 35 times for 85 yards. You're barely over 2. You're not even 2.5 yards per carry. It's just unbelievable. Chris Kleiman brought up something really important. That, first of all, Baylor was 4 of 17 on third down, and that became 4 of 8 on fourth down. So he counts it basically as 4 more turnovers because they turned it over on fourth down 4 times. K-State's turned into a really good third and fourth down defense. And I did a daily delivery on Joe Klanderman this week. I think he is vastly underappreciated as a coordinator. I think the stuff he's done now, granted, Chris Kleiman helps him. I mean, he's a former DC, but Joe Klanderman's turned into a dude on the defensive coaching side of the ball.
He has. I mean, the way the defense has figured it out after the Missouri game, and even at UCF, if you want to throw UCF in there, I mean, they played good against Oklahoma State. If you remember back to that game, held them to a bunch of field goals. I'm impressed with this defense. And, just by looking at that roster, you would not expect them to be putting up the numbers and be having the success that they're having. But Fitz, they're young. Mm-hmm. They are young. I mean, they could return 8 starters on that defense, and it wouldn't be a shock. So, yeah, Joe Klanderman has really figured it out, and they're a better defense now than they were last year.
Yeah, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, you take all those NFL draft choices, including
four NFL players on that defense.
Yep, 3 on the back end, and Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing the job they've done, and they've done it by committee. I mean, there's been guys that are good, but there's no one you say on this defense, boy, he's a nightmare. Mm-hmm. And because they all kind of add up to a nightmare. I mean, how are you going to replace Felix? By committee? Well, that doesn't work. Well, it sure as hell does. Yeah. I mean, they haven't got as maybe many sacks, but they have made a lot of quarterbacks uncomfortable and struggle getting the ball to receivers.
I think it starts with the linebacker play. I just keep going back to that, right? Like, when they lost Daniel Green, people, rightfully so, extremely worried.
Right.
But Desmond Purnell, Jake Clifton, Austin Romaine, and Austin Moore, I mean, those guys are really stinking good. Yep. They are always where they need to be. They're always making plays. And they're the main reason why. I mean, when K-State gets pressure, it's a lot of the times because of the blitzing linebackers. So, credit. I mean, let's give Steve Stannard his flowers, too. I mean, This is a veteran coach who's really helped transition that linebacking room. And, I mean, the defense is legit. There's no other way to say it besides the fact they are legit.
Desmond Purnell's gone from the start of last year being a curious guy to put on the field. He's converted from safety. He's not really big enough for linebacker. And by the end of the year, he was really good. This year, Chris Kleiman throws around accolades quite a bit. He's all Big 12, and sometimes we kind of laugh about it. When he said Desmond Purnell's playing at all Big 12 level, he was right. Mm-hmm. I don't know all the linebackers in this conference. I don't vote on these things. I steer away from that. I focus on K-State and kind of big picture things. Des Purnell is a player, man. Yeah. He has come so far. He has When I saw him in fall camp, when he came to a media event, I was like, holy crap, how much weight you put on? It was like 25 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
And it didn't slow him down. Dude, he closed on Blake Shapen and hit him after a pass today. That was frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, Blake Shapen thought a truck had hit him. He wanted roughing the passer because he got hit so hard, but it was a perfectly clean hit.
The way the defense has transformed from last year is, think about this. Khalid Duke was playing that spot last year. He wasn't bad at it. He wasn't very good at it, but he wasn't bad at it.
Yeah.
Des Purnell is elite at that outside linebacker position.
He's learned, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. The tight ends continue to shine. Garrett Oakley with another touchdown coming from Avery Johnson. Ben Sennett is going to move on to the, NFL after this. Chiefs. And they're in good hands. Mm-hmm. They got a pair of Swanson and Oakley are really good, and they're recruiting at that position. And it's an incredible year for tight ends in the state of Kansas. Mm-hmm. That's going to be. I love tight end play. I just absolutely love it. And it frustrated me when Bill Snyder got away from throwing to tight ends because he did a lot early in his career. Then he just kind of got more conservative and used them as blockers. Poor Travis Tannehill had a good, pass catching career, but he was mostly a blocker. Mm-hmm. And now Colin Klein's got the tight ends completely incorporated in this lineup. They get mismatches, but Ben Sennett just does things that tight ends don't do. That's why I think he's perfect for that Chiefs offense is, their tight end's not going to play forever. What's that guy's name? Swift?
Yeah.
I think he just got
Taylor,
married.
right?
I don't know. Yeah, he's famous. But yeah, I think the tight ends, I love tight end play. I just love it. And to see them use them, and what a great catch and run by Oakley.
You know what's weird is that Garrett Oakley might be more of a traditional tight end than Ben Sennett.
Yeah.
Ben Sennett is that H-back. And I remember somebody asked, if you were to compare yourself to an NFL player, he said Kyle Juszczyk, who plays for the Niners. He's like a fullback tight end hybrid. He also said George Kittle. Ben Sennett is a bruiser, right? Like, he'll catch the ball and he'll run you over.
Right.
Garrett Oakley will run by you.
Yeah.
Like, he is more of a traditional tight end. And I'm excited for his future because he is a player, and he's faster than Ben Sennett, I think. He might be able to, stretch the defense a little bit more. He is a matchup problem for the defense. But, again, I credit the coaching staff, man. Like, Brian LePack, another one of these guys. Tight ends coach, just finding a way to get dudes in there, figure it out. They go 3 tight ends more than probably any team in the Big 12, and they have 3 quality tight ends. And, again, Ben Sennett, Garrett Oakley both have touchdowns tonight. The way they're able to use those tight ends, it is a matchup nightmare, and it will be for Kansas, Iowa State, potential Big 12 championship game and the bowl game because they are that good.
So people are asking me for tiebreakers, and they are incredibly complicated in a league where you don't play everyone.
Right.
And folks, it's not easy for me to sit here and say if this and this happens, K-State's in. The only way I can guarantee you that is Oklahoma State continues to lose and Oklahoma loses, and they can get a rematch with Texas. I mean, we saw Kansas fall out of a tie with their home loss, which I'm not known for feeling sorry for Kansas, but losing Bean in that game was really unfortunate. They should have won that game. They almost won it with their third-string quarterback, which is a testament to coaching. What am I looking for here? It's right here in my hand. Cole, it's right here. I'm moving it out of the way to find it. Oklahoma State loses. They fall to 5-2. Kansas is 5-2. Oklahoma's playing right now. And
they should be winning.
Yep, they should be winning, and they are. It's 31-14 at halftime, so that looks like a win. That's the problem. Oklahoma's not going to have losses. And if Kansas State and Oklahoma end up tied, then they're going to have the tiebreaker. They didn't play head-to-head. They go to the best win. Oklahoma beat Texas. So that would put them back in that game, unfortunately. West Virginia is going to come out of this with a loss. Iowa State, that's a late night. We got a little Big 12 after dark here, which will be awfully fun if I can stay up that late. Mm-hmm. You know what? I was better off for the Big 12 expanding West when I was much younger than I am now, Cole.
They have 5-hour energy for a reason.
My God, that'd keep me up for like 30 minutes. Yeah. That's how bad it is. But yeah, Texas Tech moves into that 4-3 grouping, and UCF with their second win. Absolutely. 45-3 over Oklahoma State. Now let's get into this a little bit because I'm angry. I'm angry that I don't know more than Vegas. The line of 2.5 for, minus 2.5 for Oklahoma State didn't make sense to me. They have the best running back in the league and Ollie Gordon, and UCF has the worst run defense in the league. What did they know? How did they know that this was not going to work? And then Ollie gets hurt, or did he? I'm
you want to know why, Fitz? Because they played Bedlam and they won. This always happens to any kind of emotional game, an emotional setback. A team has a major win. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen here with Texas and TCU, as we just see
Texas score a
touchdown for the Longhorns. But again, it's Oklahoma State. And Fitz, I just go back to it. They're not that good. Like they're not that good. They're not as good as their record says. Like, at some point, you have to look at the product on the field. If you stop their running back, they're very beatable. And UCF somehow, by the grace of God, found a way to stop the run today. Now, that's how they beat them. I will say, as far as the tiebreakers go, things can get hairy, okay? Because if Texas does lose, it doesn't look like they're going to lose to this game to TCU. It's definitely not over, but they still have to go to Ames next week. And night games in Ames, you say it all the time. Teams from down south, traveling up north, cold environments, night games, not going to be easy.
No.
Not going to be easy. Iowa State's better than TCU. So that's going to be tough. If Texas is 5-2, Oklahoma State's 5-2, K-State's 5-2, and OU's 5-2, I honestly don't know what the whole tiebreaker situation would be, because there's so many teams that haven't played each other. Oklahoma State hasn't played Texas. K-State hasn't played Oklahoma. And so there's so many different little tiebreak. Oklahoma lost to Kansas. K-State beat Kansas, assuming that they went out, and Oklahoma State beat Kansas. So there's so many different tiebreakers that have to trickle down. If you're a K-State fan and you want K-State to somehow make it to Arlington, at the end of the day, you want as many ties as possible. I firmly believe that.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think if Oklahoma and Oklahoma State lose one more game, look, Oklahoma has to go to BYU next week.
That's not going to be easy. And they haven't announced game times yet, right?
No, they have not.
That's going to be a night game.
We probably won't hear till tomorrow because of the after dark game, Iowa State at BYU, that I think BYU will win. And if you're listening, don't bet that, because I thought Oklahoma State would win. But if Oklahoma and Oklahoma State both lose another game and K-State wins out, they're 3-loss teams. And then, it's right there. It's right available for... Right? Is it OU's?
Yeah, 2 losses.
Yeah, 2 losses. Who else did OU lose to? KU and who?
KU and who did they lose to? I was just looking at their schedule. Well, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they have 2 losses. KU and Oklahoma State.
On Oklahoma State, yeah. So, if the both of them lose another game and K-State wins out, K-State's playing Texas in the Big 12 Championship. That loss by Oklahoma State today in Orlando changed everything.
Everything.
It made getting there much more tangible. Do they still need help? Hell yeah, but they needed help last year, and they got Texas losing to TCU that got him in the game when Kleiman wouldn't let me tell him the score.
That was a great moment.
That was great. He called me out again today.
He did.
Oh, my God. I hope people understand he's very sarcastic about me. I do not think the Big 12 is easy.
Can we go ahead and do a little exercise here?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Exercise?
No.
Am I going to pull something?
So Houston is losing. Is that dude?
Okay, folks, look, we're a dog-friendly environment here, and I gave the treats to the dogs when we came down. For some reason, dude just left his, and as soon as he left the room, Daphne just pounced on it, and you probably could hear her devouring it in the background. She's very happy. She's got a double treat. Dude's weird. TCU just threw a pick right before halftime. It's going to get ugly.
So Houston is losing right now to Cincinnati as we record this. That game's definitely not over. But, again, I just look at Houston. Again, they're desperate, right? I mean, this is a team.
They got players.
They do. And the same thing with BYU, right? They are going to be fighting for their bowl eligibility lives. Same thing with Houston. Oklahoma State has to go to Houston. How do you get off the mat in Orlando and then have to make another long trip to, I mean, it's not long, but it's not short. People don't realize. It is, it's probably like a 2-hour flight?
Yeah, I don't know.
Close to that, but either way.
And then you're in Houston.
Yeah, but that's going to be a tough game for them. And honestly, if I were to bet the spread, I would assume that Oklahoma State would probably be similar to the spread in Orlando. I bet they're a 2-point favorite, maybe. So that's going to be a tough game. And, then you look at Oklahoma, you just mentioned it, having to go on the road to BYU. there is no easy game in this conference. Let that be known. But if you're a K-State fan, you have to feel like your team has way more of a shot after the results that happened today than how you felt before.
I agree. We done?
I'm just going to say it. K-State's going to play Texas in the Big 12 championship.
There we go. That's Cole Carmody. I'm Tim Fitzgerald. We appreciate you listening. Kansas State absolutely knocks the snot out of Baylor.
Slobber knocker? Was that a
slobber knocker? David Smale used that. The young people were confused. 59-25 over the Bears. I fear Bears, but not Dave Aranda's Bears, for very good reason. We appreciate you listening, and also I am told it is currently 8:15 as we record. This should be up around 8:30, and Kansas State is going to drop a very emotional social media post about Will Howard's record at 8:30, or so I'm told. We appreciate you listening.
Thank you for listening to the Powercat Podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
Spring training is right around the corner, which means it's time to start prepping for the fantasy baseball season. Join us on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, 4 times per week in January as part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. Scott White, Chris Towers, and me, Frank Stanfield, will be delivering the latest news, rankings, and strategies in just 5 minutes. Make sure to download and follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and everywhere else podcasts are found.